Remember when fast food was cheap? A Big Mac meal for $5, a McChicken for $1. The whole point of the drive-thru was that you could feed yourself for less than you'd spend on groceries. Now, a Big Mac meal runs $8 to $11 depending on where you live. In some cities, over $12. A McChicken costs $3. That $5 lunch is now a $10 to $15 habit, and everyone's got an explanation. Inflation, labor costs, the California minimum wage. But here's what nobody's telling you. Fast food prices have risen twice as fast as inflation. Twice as fast as the cost of ingredients, twice as fast as wages. Something else is going on, and it starts with a secret McDonald's has been keeping since 1956. Most people think McDonald's sells hamburgers. That's what they want you to think. But McDonald's isn't a restaurant company. It's a real estate company. That's not me saying it. That's Harry Sonneborn, McDonald's original CFO. The man who built the business model that made McDonald's worth $200 billion. We are in the real estate business. The only reason we sell hamburgers is because they are the greatest producer of revenue from which our tenants can pay us rent. Here's how it works. McDonald's owns or controls the land and building at most of its locations. About 93% of McDonald's restaurants are franchises, meaning independent operators run them. But those operators don't own the real estate. McDonald's does, which means every franchisee is paying two bills, a royalty fee of 4% of sales and rent. And here's the clever part. The rent often isn't fixed. It's tied to sales. The harder a franchisee works to grow revenue, the more the landlord takes. Franchisees pay more in rent than they do in royalties. McDonald's collected over $7 billion from rent and royalties in 2020 alone. By 2024, that number was even higher. When you buy a Big Mac, most of that money doesn't go to corporate for the burger. It goes to corporate for the building. McDonald's core business isn't feeding you. It's being your franchisee's landlord. And landlords have one job: extract rent. Scott Roderick owns 18 McDonald's restaurants in Northern California. In April 2024, California raised the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour. Roderick described the months that followed as quite a roller coaster. Corporate points to the $20 wage as the reason prices went up. What they don't mention is the 4 digital kiosks that replaced 2 cashiers at the same time. But here's what's interesting about Roderick's situation. Even before the wage hike, his margins were razor thin. McDonald's franchisees typically operate on profit margins of around 6%. 6%, meaning if a restaurant brings in $2.7 million in sales, the owner keeps about $150,000. After rent, after royalties, after food, after labor, after everything McDonald's corporate takes off the top. And when prices go up, wages, ingredients, energy, who absorbs those costs? Not corporate. Corporate gets their 4% royalty and their rent regardless. The franchisee either raises prices, cuts staff, or watches their margin disappear. In a 2021 survey, McDonald's franchisees rated their relationship with corporate a 1.9 out of 5. The main complaint? They were being squeezed between corporate mandates and customer expectations. Corporate wanted value meals to drive traffic. Franchisees couldn't afford to sell them, so they raised prices on everything else. That $15 Big Mac meal isn't greed from your local franchise owner. It's them trying to survive the deal they signed with McDonald's. So if franchisees are getting squeezed, where's all the money going? Follow the numbers. McDonald's generated nearly $26 billion in revenue in 2024. Their gross profit was $14.7 billion. Their operating income was $11.7 billion. That's a 45% operating margin in an industry where 10% is considered healthy. And what did McDonald's do with all that profit? Over the past decade, McDonald's has returned nearly $80 billion to shareholders through buybacks and dividends. In 2023 alone, they spent $5.3 billion on stock buybacks. In 2024, another $2.8 billion. Add in dividends, and you're looking at $7 to $10 billion going to shareholders every single year. While customers complain about $10 combo meals and franchisees struggle to make payroll. And at the top, Chris Kempczynski, McDonald's CEO, earned $18.2 million in 2024. That's over 1,000 times what the median McDonald's employee makes. So when McDonald's tells you prices had to rise because of inflation, because of wages, because of ingredient costs, remember where the money actually went. Not to workers, not to lower prices, not even to franchisees, to Wall Street, to shareholders, to executives. This isn't a company struggling to stay afloat. This is a company extracting as much value as possible from every burger sold and blaming everyone else for the bill. But raising prices isn't the only trick. There's another one, and it's harder to notice. It's called shrinkflation. Same price, or higher, for less food. Workers and customers have been documenting it for years. The medium that became the new large. The fries container that used to overflow but now barely fills. The bun that's a little less dense than you remember. The patty weight is legally protected. They can't shrink a quarter pounder. But the fries, the buns, the drink syrup ratio, that's where the air gets added. When Arby's was accused of shrinking portions in 2023, an employee confirmed it on social media. What used to be our medium sizes are now our large, and medium is now what used to be our smalls. At Popeyes, that 4-piece chicken dinner went from $7 in 2014 to nearly $14 in 2024. A 97% price increase. But customers noticed the pieces seemed smaller too. This is the beauty of shrinkflation from a corporate perspective. You can't prove it as easily as a price hike. There's no receipt showing you got less chicken. The number of nuggets is the same. They're just smaller. You're paying more for less. And unless you've got a decade-old burger to compare, you'll never know. So if everything's so expensive, what about those value meals? The $5 deals that keep popping up? Here's what the fast food industry learned. The value meal isn't meant to make money. It's bait. You come in for the $5 deal. But once you're there, you see the menu. Maybe you add fries, maybe a drink upgrade, maybe an apple pie for $2. In California, where the minimum wage is $20 an hour, restaurants have said openly that they can't profit on a $5 meal anymore. The only way they survive is if customers buy add-ons with higher margins. The deal gets you in the door. Everything else pays the bills. And this is why the dollar menu had to die. McDonald's killed its original dollar menu in 2013. The reason was simple. You can't make money selling a burger for $1 anymore. The margin didn't exist, so they replaced it with dollar menu and more, which had items costing $2, $3, even $4. The name stayed, the value disappeared. And the next evolution, it's already being tested. In February 2024, Wendy's announced they were exploring dynamic pricing, using AI to change menu prices depending on the time of day and how busy the restaurant was. The backlash was instant. Customers heard surge pricing and revolted. Politicians, including Elizabeth Warren, publicly criticized the plan. Wendy's backpedaled within days, claiming they'd been misconstrued. But the technology is already there. Digital menu boards that can change prices in real time. AI that knows exactly how much you're willing to pay at noon versus midnight. Fast food was supposed to be the great equalizer. The same burger, the same price, whether you're a CEO or a construction worker. That world is disappearing. In its place, algorithmic pricing, shrinking portions, value meals that aren't valuable, and corporations that blame everyone but themselves for prices that keep going up. Fast food got expensive for the same reason everything gets expensive in America. The people at the top found a way to extract more. McDonald's isn't struggling. They're printing money, 15 billion in gross profit, 80 billion to shareholders over the past decade, 18 million for the CEO. They just found a way to make you pay for it, while blaming inflation, blaming wages, blaming everyone except the system they designed. The burger isn't the product. You are. If you want to understand how money really works, how the systems that run your life actually operate, subscribe. We break down the financial mechanics nobody else is explaining.